Hey there, folks. Welcome to the edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today on the program, I speak with Melanie and Andy of Cannizzaro Sauces. I said that really fast intentionally because I think I pronounced it right, but we discussed the pronunciation of some Italian names on this podcast, this conversation. But Andy and Melanie were fantastic. You know, no matter how you say the name of the sauce, it's fantastic. I tried some of it on camera. They gave me some to take back home. My girlfriend made some lasagna with the regular sauce, and I got some of the spicy sauce I'm saving for a very special Italian dish later on this week. But Andy and Melanie, they've worked in the restaurant industry for quite some time, and Melanie had this great spaghetti sauce, this marinara sauce, that she's like, you know what, I think this is good enough to sell. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. And they went through the process of selling it. It sounds ridiculous, but we live in an age where you can do that. It's possible. If you're like, hey, I got good sauce, I want to go sell it. Or, hey, I want a podcast. You know, the things are there. Or, hey, I want to make a movie, in a sense. That's what's so great. But it also takes very special people like Andy and Melanie to go, you know what? We can do this. And the steps are there. The process is there. Why can't we do it? That's one of those things, those types of people that I want to have on this podcast. People are like, why not? Let's do this. And Andy and Melanie, like I said, they worked in the restaurant industry for quite some time. And now Andy, this is his main form of employment. And he works long hours, but he gets to spend time with Melanie, which if he worked another job, he wouldn't see her quite as much. But now they spend time together and they make sauce. Fantastic sauce, might I add. And they're out there selling it at farmers markets. Andy is like cornering every supermarket manager he possibly can to get this sauce on the shelves at the grocery store. And he has in multiple locations. So they're living the hustle, they're living the dream, and they're working very hard for it. And they're making great sauce and they're delivering a quality product. So very happy to sit down and have a conversation with them today. Also, big thank you to Candace, who has now become kind of like the honorary talent coordinator of the Stranger in a Southern Land podcast. This is another one of the conversations that she lined up for me. So thank you as always, Candace, for lining me up with wonderful, fascinating, and engaging people who are doing wonderful things in this community and in this Southeast area. Anyways, big thank you to also Shining Wizards Podcast Network for all the support that you have given me. Make sure you give them some support for all the other podcasts that they have on their network. And for more information about that, make sure you log on to shiningwizardsnetwork.com. Also, big thank you to Don, who produces this podcast, and all the podcasts that he produces at dsct.tv, as well as the other podcasts that I do on that network. How Did This Get Booked, where me and Zane Riley watch professional wrestling shows that are less than fantastic with a non-wrestling fan, and we discuss it very similar to How Did This Get Made. But this podcast is called How Did This Get Booked, and for more information about that podcast, make sure you log on to howdidthisgetbooked.com. Anyways, let me feed you some dates as I always do. I want to get you engaged. I want you to get out there and check out some local art. May it be professional wrestling, may it be comedy, and these are just where I'm going to be at. If none of these appeal to you or none of them are in your area, it's out there, guys. Just look for it. Just search it. Google is an amazing tool. Just search in live art, live comedy, live wrestling in your area, in your town. It's there, it's available, and it's out there. But this is where I will be at. I will be at Queens of Combat this Saturday for 2 shows on May the 21st. For more information about those shows, make sure you log on to combatqueens.com. That will be happening up in Gibsonville, North Carolina at the CWF Mid-Atlantic Sportatorium. Now, Monday, May the 23rd, I will be performing comedy in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Sweetwater Brewery for the Beer and Comedy Night, which is hosted by Joe Pettis. I'm very excited to go back down to Atlanta. Atlanta is one of the hottest comedy scenes in the entire country, so I'm feeling very fortunate to be heading down there and performing comedy at the Sweetwater Brewery on Monday, May the 23rd. Saturday, June 4th, Northeast Wrestling heads south to Hickory, North Carolina at the ballpark where the Hickory Crawdads play. If you look back at the prior episode with Aaron Cox, where we talk about the Hickory Crawdads, in the background of the video portion, you can see the baseball field. Well, guess what? There will be a wrestling ring on that baseball field Saturday, June the 4th for Northeast Wrestling. Ric Flair's going to be there. The Hardy Boys are going to be there. So make sure you show up for that show. For more information about tickets about that show, make sure you log on to northeastwrestling.com. Now, also, as always, I'm out there on the interwebs and social media, and I'm very easy to follow. I am a available on Twitter at ManScoutManning and on Instagram at ManScoutManning. If you have a question about this podcast, or if you want to become a sponsor of this podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com. Or if you want to book me for an upcoming wrestling event, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Anyways, this has been a very brisk, very to the point, very concise intro because I really want you to listen to this conversation with Melanie and Andy from Cannizzaro Sauces here on Stranger in a Southern Land. All right, folks, I'm sitting here with Melanie and Andy in the basement of, what's the name of this place?
Bonterra.
Bonterra. I have a feeling this whole interview is basically you guys correcting me on how to spell Italian names.
We can do that.
The entire time. I think it's going to be about an hour of explaining it to me and
That's
doing
fine.
syllables. But I'm sitting here with you guys, and Candace was the one that lined me up with you guys and said you have a very interesting story as far as like starting your own sauce company, everything else. But let's start with the obvious because you two are together. How did you guys meet up, and how did this partnership happen between the two of you?
Met him in a bar. Isn't that normal, right?
Yeah, that's the dream.
Where everybody should meet.
Exactly.
Andy was bartending. He was guest bartending at Picasso's, which used to be down the street. And I walked in and batted my eyes a little bit and turned back around, and that was it.
Once I got the double take on our way out the door, I decided to pursue it.
Okay.
And then digging around for phone numbers and got it, and we went out, and the rest is history. Got married in 2008.
Okay. It was back in the day when you had to get phone numbers, and that's like, here's my Facebook account or
no
Snapchat.
Facebook.
Yeah, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Insta.
No Snapchat like the kids are doing these days.
Nothing.
Just you actually had to talk. You actually
We did.
You could
Exactly.
talk, kind of text. You could put a little work on texting.
funny.
But
I didn't know how to text yet. I didn't text yet.
And I only worked there that one night. I was filling in for another bartender that was out of town, actually on a wedding, and it was the one and only day that I would work there. And that was the day.
I'm so glad you did.
That was the day that I met Melanie.
it's always very serendipitous like that. But Andy, you were working in a bar. Melanie, what were you doing at that time?
Working here. I've worked here for 14, almost 15 years.
Okay, so working in restaurants and in food service is something that very accustomed to you guys. Is it something you always wanted to do? Like, where did that interest?
For me, I went to culinary. I started off in culinary school and then changed my major when I realized that entailed every vacation time, every holiday time, every night. So I changed it to restaurant management, which really didn't change much for me. But
that seems like that would be more difficult.
But I found a perfect kind of niche here at Bonterra because I plan all the parties, I do all the books, kind of my strong point, the accounting
Weddings.
part anyway, plan all the weddings. Mm-hmm. So for the most part, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, Saturdays when I have weddings. So worked out well for me.
But where did the interest in food service or even just wanting to get into culinary school, where did that first come
My
from?
mom is a great cook.
Yeah.
Not a great sauce maker, and she knows it. She knows that she's not a great sauce maker.
I was waiting for that.
But she's an awesome cook, and I always loved cooking with her. And I was always there on a little step stool cooking with her forever. My father, an accountant, and the accounting part of culinary school was actually my favorite part of culinary school. So I don't know, I guess I'm the exact midpoint of my parents.
Okay, you met in the middle, so you can talk to both of them now about things and stuff
yeah.
like that. Like my mom's very big into arts and stuff like that. My father is very much a farmer, construction worker, and there's not a lot I can talk to him about. I still don't even know how many square feet or what even that means. So,
Everybody has their thing, right?
Everybody has their thing. But no, Andy, was it the same with you? Were you interested in restaurants, or was it like it was just this is a bar?
I kind of started out of high school with getting into the restaurant industry and started bartending. Mm-hmm. This was before they started bartending schools and this, so I started from the bottom and then just kind of, been doing it for almost 20 years, and probably the last 10 years of being a bartender, I kind of moved into an area to where I specialized in opening up new establishments, to where I would kind of hire, train with, point of sale system and inventory and cost control. And then after establishment would be rocking and rolling after the first year or two, then I would move on to the next one. And,
Well, they say that opening a restaurant is probably the riskiest thing you can do financially and stuff like that. Obviously you agree with that point, but what are some things about it that make it so difficult? Because that's what everybody wants. Well, I'm sure like even when before you
they're
really
not thinking clearly.
Exactly. When you guys are
Don't
thinking,
do it. Don't do it.
We say to each other time after time, we could win the lottery tomorrow and be set for life. And the last thing that we would do would be to open up a bar or a restaurant.
So we opened Max. Well, the owner of Bonterra was one of the first partners of Max, and we were a big part of that opening. And that restaurant started off, the building was an old drippy car wash. It was disgusting. That part of South Boulevard wasn't really anything yet. There wasn't everything that's there right now wasn't
Big
there.
risk.
And it went from 0 to
Unbelievable.
million miles an hour in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But then you can see another wonderful restaurant, just as good of food, a block away, not make it.
Doesn't make it, yeah.
So
it's a gamble.
It's the worst.
like how does it make it a gamble? Is it just foot traffic or
You don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You can.
That's the
Everybody
problem.
says
There's no-
location, but then again, that thing was a transmission shop.
Yeah.
I thought it was a car wash.
Well, it was a car wash back in the 50s, and
Oh.
then Max actually was the original name of when it was a transmission
right.
shop. And actually, the owner Max moved down to Belmont, but it sat empty for so long. But it was that far down South Boulevard that nobody thought it was going to make it, and then all of a sudden, it became a gold mine overnight. So you can't blame locations as much, but there's just
no formula that makes
unpredictable. It's so unpredictable.
Never. Don't do it.
So win the lottery, don't open a restaurant or a bar.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Like
a yacht.
as somebody that deals with
Enjoy.
professional wrestling, I was like, if you want to lose your millions that you make, get into professional wrestling.
Is that right?
Yes, for
Why?
sure. Just it's there actually was a guy in South Carolina. He won the lottery. He wanted to run an all-female wrestling promotion, and slowly over time, he's dwindled his fortune down.
There you go. How's the XFL doing?
Yeah, that's a thing. But he was starting a women's promotion well before female athletics has gotten to probably where it is right now. He'd probably do it. He's trying to start up now because it's a very popular thing to do right now. But at the same time, too, he's doing something very campy in a sense and very niche. That's the thing. Like pro wrestling's already niche, and then you take a niche from a niche, you're not going to appeal quite to the larger audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Where everybody needs to eat. You know what I'm saying? So
Everybody does need to eat, but there are a million places to eat. You have to have a reason for those people to come in.
Yeah.
And to find out what that exact reason is, just seems impossible.
Well, what are some of the hooks that you've seen that people do that have worked out?
Max. That
Max.
is the one like golden boy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And one of the things I think with Max, we had some fun ideas when we started it. We kind of modeled it after Bonterra. So Bonterra has 200 wines by the glass, which is more, we think, than anyone in the world, or at least in the country.
Yeah.
So when we opened Max, we were going to have 200 bottles of beer, 200 different bottles of beer. And so that was the first formula of it. And the food was just very, very good. And you got so much of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the wings are very large. Like normal times when you see on the menu, it's like, 10 wings. I'm like, oh, are these going to be the small? Yeah. But 10 wings from there fills me up immediately.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about that.
Absolutely.
And also too, I remember them having a large selection of beer before that was the trendy thing to do. And
it was fun when we came up, when we started to do it. Well, that was JD came up with the idea, the owner of Bonterra.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and people loved seeing it. And just getting so much food that you couldn't eat it all. And they still do that. I mean, they still do a great job at that. You still just get so much food, I think you go into a place and you leave hungry. You don't want that.
Yeah,
or
because
even finish your plate.
Because it's word of mouth as well. And if a situation of like, oh, the food's good, but it's a little pricey, but it's always going to be word of mouth. It's sometimes you live or die by. And the one thing they're going to talk about is the price point on what they're getting at the end of the day. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But let's talk about Bonterra a little bit. Like this is the first time I've been in a place like this, but
It's cool, isn't it?
I have to admit my knowing of like the food scene and restaurant scene here in Charlotte is very limited. That's
Why?
part of the reason that I've started this podcast is because I've been traveling up and down the East Coast for the last 12 years. I could tell you a great seafood place in Norfolk, Virginia. I could tell you a great deli in Norwalk, Connecticut. I could tell you this wonderful place if you want to get gas off 81 if you're on your way to Pennsylvania. But like, I did not know where to go for a meal, for a good drink, to take somebody out on a first date, take somebody out on a very nice date. I knew nothing of that up until maybe the last 2 or 3 years.
How long have you lived here?
Since 2005.
Oh,
Yeah.
there are a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to that.
And more and more. So, Bonterra is a fine dining restaurant with a focus, kind of a fine dining Southern flair as far as the food goes.
Okay.
And then the chef also was trained in Spain for a time. And in between us opening Max and Bonterra, we opened another Spanish restaurant called Las Ramblas. That was one of those. Food was ridiculously good. Portions were wonderful. Location was bad, and we couldn't make it. So he does throw some Spanish flair into the Bonterra menu as well. Same chef. We've all been here for a very long time. So this will be the 16th anniversary this year, 16th or 17th anniversary this year, for a restaurant in Charlotte, especially one like this. It's pretty long time for us to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's in transition off South Boulevard and stuff like that. And then for a while, South Boulevard was not.
It wasn't
the sterling location that it is today, for sure.
No. And we're a block off of East Boulevard, a block off of South Boulevard. So people will say, "I've lived here my whole life, and I had no idea you were right here."
Because there used to be a church.
Yeah, it's tucked in. It's like a very residential thing that you don't really know about.
But they're actually that right kitty corner to the back corner of Bonterra, or the front corner of Bonterra. They're building a hotel. It'll be our first hotel in Dilworth in Southend.
Oh wow!
I know. And another area right on Worthington, right across the street from us, is getting zoned for something else too. I think more condos.
Yeah,
Good,
it's got.
we need more condos.
Take a guess. It's condos.
Yeah.
You know, just take a guess.
Well, Charlotte needs more condos.
We really do. Southend.
Okay, I thought you were going to give an argument for them, and I was like, please tell, because I'm clueless on them. They seem like they're half full, but we keep getting more of them.
It's like you go down any street. You know what they need there? And nobody says more condos.
More condos.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's especially like there's been a lot of music venues that have torn down, and places that I've performed comedy and pro wrestling that are now gone.
Yes, you do comedy too.
Yes, I do.
We have to come see you.
I will let you know.
I would love to know that.
Absolutely.
So the owner of Bonterra, JD, owns Bonterra, has for all this time, is a really nice, generous guy. And when we decided we wanted to start making the sauce, he offered to let us use the kitchen at no charge.
Okay, well, let's talk about just even the idea of wanting to do that. Obviously, it's not like, hey, my mom has a great sauce recipe, and I need to let the world know about it.
Mom, it's her.
No, it was mine. It's my recipe.
Okay.
But it was we were having a glass of wine one night, and Andy was not loving bartending and bar managing. What?
Well, I was getting old.
It was getting old.
Okay.
And,
4 o'clock in the morning doesn't work after you're 40.
No.
Midnight barely works for me, and I'm 34.
Does not work for me at all.
9:30 can be a stretch when you're us.
Oh, yeah.
So we were, we every now and then we'll come up with an idea. We should do this. But anyway, we were just sitting here, and I said, wouldn't it be fun if we did my sauce? I always would make, whenever I'd make sauce, a ton of it.
Well, that's
It'd
the
be
thing.
lining
is
up
that
the counters.
When you were at home, I come home from work, and about a few times a year, she would be canning and jarring and making this marinara sauce. And it's unbelievable. And she would jar it up and can it, just like everybody's mom or grandmother used to. Put it in the cupboard, pull it out whenever you're ready.
Absolutely. That's exactly what my mom did. It's a production for 3
It
days.
is.
Yeah.
For sure.
And she'd do the whole water bath thing, and all these quarts were sitting in there with marinara, and she's excited and stuff, and she would
It's fun.
put it in the cupboard. And then kind of the wheels started turning for both of us, and we're sitting there thinking to ourselves, why aren't we keep giving this away? Why aren't we selling it? And so then we let up, and we're sitting having a glass of wine, and we start brainstorming again, and then we start thinking, what would it take to sell it?
We had no idea. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. And we were happy. I got to say, I'm happy of all that it takes to be able to sell food products. I feel better about buying stuff at farmers markets,
what you've learned.
small markets, that kind of thing. Yeah. Took us, when we figured out what it was going to take, starting off with the Department of Agriculture and
Labels,
the State University and all these things, we looked at each other and said, all right, if we're going to do this, we're doing this, but we're doing it right. It's classes. We had to take a class and really put in a lot of time. It took about 6 months before we could sell our first jar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, all right, let's do this. And in that time, luckily, it's been about a year and a half. Andy, about 5, maybe more longer than that, maybe 8 months ago now is 100% working for sauce.
Oh. Well, what was the thing that was like, I think my sauce is good enough to sell on a shelf?
Well,
like you guys,
I will tell you.
Never thought you'd ask.
Well, let me tell you.
Well, good.
Well, that's just going to open up
well,
a whole nother book right here.
Well, then let's do it. I got more than enough. I just cleared off a new card. We've got 9 hours on it, so it's yours.
Food and wine down here.
Somebody feed our dogs.
Please go.
This is actually so silly. It was so built up, and it's really not that great of a story. But so I always made sauce, and I always liked it. I always liked it better than any jarred sauce, and it was good. We always liked it. And then one time I had the secret ingredient. It's not a secret. It's written on the side of the jar. Is we cook it with Parmesan rinds. So we don't dump cheese into it, but we put the rinds of the Parmesan in while we're cooking.
Should we be saying this?
Yeah, it's on there. We tell everybody. And I had one just left over, and I was like, I'm going to try this. And I put it in, and I stirred it around, and we cooked it for not long. We only cooked the sauce for maybe an hour. Cooked it for about an hour, pulled out that rind, and we both tasted it, and it was like, oh my God.
It's knee buckling.
It's knee buckling. The salty kind of nuttiness from the Parmesan rinds it changed the sauce to where we said, oh my gosh, we can sell this.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like
Anybody
to
that's
taste
had
it?
it, they know.
I would love to if we're
Right
at that
here.
if we're at that point.
We're at the point whenever you're ready.
I'm ready for it. So
This is the marinara sauce here.
Okay. So
We make 3 right now, but we only brought 2 with us. The marinara.
okay.
So, and then a spicy one called arrabbiata. Do you like
Okay.
spicy?
I love spicy.
Okay. Well, here, grab a piece of bread.
I will grab a
dip
piece
it
of
in.
bread. Okay.
And we have some meatballs coming for you too.
Okay.
So
I will love that.
I won't watch you like
Can I be
looking for a
salesy now?
reaction. No, don't be salesy. He gets so salesy sometimes.
Well, sales got us in 100 stores.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
So that little bit of saltiness, the extra saltiness that doesn't just come from the sea salt that's in there.
Mm-hmm. I'll taste it more on the second bite for
Yeah.
sure. No.
And we use fresh tomatoes, and we use local stuff when we can, and that's another thing when we said, when I used to make the sauce just at home, just for us, I would use mostly canned tomatoes. When we decided that we were going to make this into a business, we had to think of things that would really make it appealing, and using local ingredients was one of those things that we really thought, using local tomatoes, supporting local farmers, local herbs.
Well, when you decided, because obviously tomatoes are very important to marinara
very
sauce.
important.
Right.
What was the process of finding the best tomatoes for your sauce?
Really for us, as long as they're vine ripe, they're all great. We've never come across this as a spicy one. If you want to try
Oh, please! I would love to do it in the spicy one.
We really look at the tomatoes and make sure that they're good quality, but just big red vine ripe tomatoes, and really big is for ease of production. We go through, process anywhere from 150 to 250 pounds of tomatoes every week, and it's all by hand. I still have red under my fingernails from this morning, from just seeding all the tomatoes.
But there's another aspect of it is the fact that when the tomatoes are in season, okay, we totally try and get them locally
That's
sourced.
what we're saying, yeah.
Yeah, from North and South
Right now they're
Carolina
coming from
farms.
Florida still, but they'll come back up the coast. And we think we might have found somebody in North Carolina that we can get all year round that have greenhouses. So if we can support all the farmers, we can. We get a lot of stuff while we're at the farmers market, and some of the stuff from our own garden.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just tried the
It's
spicy.
spicy.
It hit you now, didn't it?
I love the spicy.
Thank
amazing.
you.
It's got
This
that
is for you to
little-
take one with you then.
It's got that
Good.
little, it's got a
definitely
little
take-
delay, and it doesn't kill you or bring your face off, but it just kind of
No,
you a little heat.
I definitely have to have a drink. That's for sure. After
Yeah.
that. Which I'm fine with. I say if I can't wipe sweat off the top of my bald head, I'm
Well, I love spicy, but I still think it's like I can finish what I'm eating with it. It's not that kill you spicy, ruin my meal.
It's balanced.
Well, I mean, like I think also what I was getting at with asking you about, like, why did you think that this sauce was good enough to sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is good. Like, but what I make is good enough to be
Did you taste it?
I know it's fantastic.
Are you still here with us?
but I'm one person. You know what I'm
We
saying?
lost him.
Like was it a situation
God.
like I think hundreds of people will like
Oh,
this?
yeah. So, well, I mean,
Because I'm not a connoisseur. You know what I'm saying? Like
you don't have to be. You just have to like.
I like it.
Yeah.
I would buy it for sure.
Super.
but-
Thank you.
Go back and taste anything else. Seriously.
especially the
When they-
spicy. The spicy
We have
is
addicts on the spicy.
Yeah.
on top of the list for me.
Awesome.
But like, you know, how did you discover that? Because
Well-
you could give it to one person and two person. Then it's like, well, these two people. But what was the idea of like, you know, all of our friends like it.
All of our friends like it.
Yeah,
Whenever
but-
they would come over, they'd, you know, what do you guys want? I always cook for my girlfriends, especially he worked at night a lot because he was bartending.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the girls would come over for dinner, and it was at least a couple times a month, what do you want me to make? Something with sauce. It was always the immediate thing.
And then the appetizer at parties.
That didn't come until after, but yeah, I mean, we had a lot of recipes that we made with the sauce, but I think we thought it tastes that good. I mean, and friends did always ask for it, but we just really liked it.
It's just it's as fresh as it gets, because you can taste everything that goes into it, because everything in there is fresh. The herbs, you know, the basil, the oregano, the onions, the garlic, everything, and there's nothing processed about it. And that's what separates us from everybody else.
Well-
Everything else on the shelves these days is coming out of a machine or getting processed through a co-packer, and ours is not. This is handcrafted.
Well, when you handcraft something like that, it takes more time, and
Yes.
you know, and you're going to need larger supplies, more supplies, and you're lucky enough to have, you know, Bonterra let you use the kitchen. But what was the thought process like? I mean, obviously you guys are already, you were tired of the bar scene, but you had a good job here. What made you go, let's try doing this kind of as a side business, as
Yeah.
extra? Because I mean, you guys can enjoy your life. You know, worrying about this is probably going to take more time away from hanging out time, movie nights, date
We
nights.
get up
all
at
kind-
4:30 every morning and come in here and cook before
I'm
I
jealous
start
of you.
work.
I'm very jealous.
Why?
I so want to get up early.
Yeah,
I-
4:30.
if I could just get 6 hours of sleep every night. Like my problem is I oversleep till I get about the 8 hours, but I have to remember I work out and I'm building muscle, so I need
Yeah,
rest.
you need your rest.
I need my rest that way. But gosh, if I had 4 or 6 hours of sleep every night and get up and start getting stuff done.
Well, we go to bed at like 9 o'clock. It's been light out when we've gotten to bed lately. So,
Yeah.
you know, well, we really wanted to. I don't know a good answer, Andy. You know, we love making it. We thought it would be fun. We really only started it thinking, what if we could just sell a couple jars at farmers markets on Saturdays?
And that's actually where it started.
Before
Okay.
we
Because of the
That-
fact that, you know, we weren't in any retailers. We started off with, you know, just these two.
But we didn't know what it would take to be able to be allowed to sell a food product. Once we figured out what it would entail, then it was like, all right, if we're doing this, we're doing this.
Right.
Well,
Well, it was a matter of getting a hold of, you know, when we started working with a lady from the North Carolina Department of Agricultural and North Carolina State. And, I mean, literally, when we went into it, we were both just like, we have no idea what we're
I
doing.
don't know.
Exactly. Literally, I told her, once I got a
I have this
human on
jar.
there,
How do I put it on a shelf?
my sauce. It's so delicious.
that's what I told her. I said, you know, I've been bartending for almost 20 years. We have this tomato sauce. This is what we want to do. This is where we want to go, but we have no idea how to do it.
They were very helpful.
And they helped us out the whole way. And it took about 6.5 months. But they said, well, where do you want to sell it at? Well, we'll start off in the farmer's market.
Hi, Jeff. Come on in.
You know, we were thinking
Thank
about
you
starting
so
off at the
much.
farmer's
You said it
market.
right next to him.
And they said, well, if you start off in the farmer's
Thank
market,
you.
then you need ingredients on your label. So.
I'm good right now. Thank you. Yeah. Thank
And then
just a halfie. Pinot, something Pinot. Thank you.
please.
I'm good.
You
Thank you.
sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm very sure. I still have a lot of work yet I have to do today, and I need to be.
Well,
able
let me
to-
give you some meatballs to get
Okay,
started.
So braised.
Those are
lamb-
Rioja braised, so it's a Spanish
Okay.
wine braised meatball that the chef makes here, and then they top it with our sauce.
Okay.
The spicy arrabbiata
Yeah.
sauce that you like.
Okay. But before I put this in my mouth, before it gets silent on a
Yeah.
podcast, Andy, talk more about like some of the things you had to do. Like you were just mentioning some of the stuff for the agriculture.
Yeah,
Because government officials, I've dealt with a couple of them today.
Yes.
Not that polite to work with, but you're saying that through the Department of Agriculture to get your sauce.
We went in with such an open mind as far as not knowing what we're doing, and made sure that they were aware of that. So therefore, they were more accepting in the fact that they'd be willing to help us, because there's a lot of other people that are trying to start their own businesses or trying to start their own products that take shortcuts and whatnot. And literally, they appreciated the fact that I told them, I said, we don't know what we're doing. We don't want to take 5 steps backwards for every 1 step we take forward. And so they were really appreciative, walked us through it, and
it was
got
really
us out there.
shocking.
It was neat.
It was shocking how nice and helpful and responsive.
Yeah.
As responsive as they could be. They're still, they still have limited hours, and they let you know that we only have so many hours that we're allowed to work, and they were very helpful. The only unhelpful people were the FDA, and that's only a form that you have to fill out online. They just don't want to help you with that. So the FDA, not so much, but
It's
North
like going to the
Carolina
DMV.
State.
FDA was like going to the DMV. If you didn't have every single piece of paper in line, then you're going to the back of the line.
Yeah.
Start over.
But I'll say it again, I love the fact that if everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, that people are held to all of these, including us, are held to all of these standards so that you feel safe buying things from other people
Yeah.
at the markets.
That's good. Well, that's good to know, and it's good to know that our taxpayer dollars are actually going to some
Absolutely.
nice people.
They are great people.
Good.
I know.
I'm glad that's the case.
Surprising, isn't it?
I know.
Thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely. That's
So what you think of the balls?
You have food like this here? Like
It's on the bar menu.
It's on the bar menu.
This is fantastic.
Isn't it great?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are yours.
I'm going to.
Good.
Trust me. I grew up on a farm, and I've always complained a lot that you can't get a good beef in this area, and this kind of proves
Come
me
to the
wrong.
farmer's market. You would be very surprised. So I work every Saturday, except for this Saturday, at Atherton Mills Farmer's Market. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I know exactly what that's at.
Have you ever been over there?
Yes, I have.
So there are 2 local farmers that sell meat there,
Okay.
and they have great meat.
Is that the place to go if I want good meat?
All of them. My farmer's market, the one I work is at Atherton. They have great meat. Andy's.
Yeah. I'm at the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market on Saturdays. She's at Atherton Mills on Saturdays. I'm at the Charlotte Regional, and when you get to local farmers and meat and
There was an
chicken
article
and
in the
everything.
Observer today that you can find online, and it was about, they do it every year, where all of the farmers markets are and where you can find them. And it's a great article, and it's a helpful map. But like Andy does a market at the Peninsula Yacht Club on Thursday nights. They have a meat vendor there,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I do.
So even the small ones usually at least have one meat vendor there.
You sweating over there?
A little bit. Let me check the top of the head.
No, you're good.
No, I'm feeling a little bit there. That's
so
good.
shiny,
That's
you're
exactly.
fine.
No, I don't care. That's why I like it. Make sure that that's happening. That means that's a good thing.
Good.
When I do
So
that.
there are great places from great farmers, and I've met them all, and we trade sauce for meat and sauce for veggies every Saturday, and it's we have
'cause-
a lot of great farmers here.
Because that's like my big thing. Because I grew up on, we raise a cow, we take it to the butcher, who was like a high school friend of my father's. He butchers a cow, hands us back the meat. It sits in our deep freezer, and we pull out
That's
when we need it.
amazing.
And that's how I knew about that. That's why when I hear people, that are vegetarians or these other things, and they complain about it, but like, you guys are missing the point. If everybody's processed their meat like this,
I agree.
no, but there's no reason to think about those things that those people think about.
It's totally changed the way we shop too. Grocery shopping used to be all about inexpensive and I got this great deal and this chicken, and we put the chicken on the pan and we'd be like, Andy would walk around the kitchen going, "So you got chicken from Harris Teeter today, huh?" Because it was all just puffed up
Roided
and
out.
weird.
Yeah.
So now we spend the money. We shop at the markets while we're there on Saturdays, and it feels so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
You're
noticed.
supporting local, and you're coming home with the freshest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's when you eat good food is you really feel a difference, especially now that I've changed my diet a lot more of sort of the.
Well, you need to always be watching what you're eating.
Yes, I absolutely it's a big difference now for me. Like I've changed my whole.
Was there a time that you weren't eating well?
Oh, I was awful, for sure.
How long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for 12, 13 years.
So when were you not eating well? before that?
About 10 years of my career.
Is that right?
Yes. Oh, I think I was able to get by because of good genetics, but of course at 33, that's where it hits a wall. It hit a wall for my father. Like I remember the exact moment when my dad's metabolism completely dropped. Like my dad had always looked very thin, athletic, muscular, and then like he stopped raising cattle. My grandfather always liked raising cattle, but my dad's like, I don't want to.
He didn't like it.
He hated livestock.
Huh.
He was always a corn and soybeans farmer. And then he's like, I'm sick and tired. He hated pigs. He kind of withstood cows a couple of times, but my grandfather always loved livestock. He loved raising horses. He loved raising pigs. He was a veterinarian. He loved getting out there and just working with animals all the time. But my father hated it. And then the one winter where he didn't have any cattle to raise, he just spent most of the time just sitting on the couch, and that's when his metabolism just stopped dead in his tracks.
Oh yeah.
And that's when he started to get like a kind of a pot belly and stuff like that. And then like he got a little bit leaner, but then it was just too old for him to. And of course he worked long hours. He never would turn it around. And then
there wasn't a gym on every corner then
no.
either.
Well,
so.
he's one of those. I'm trying to think of a reference that you might pick up on, maybe like kind of like a Ron Swanson from a Parks and Recs type individual. Yeah, and he's not going to go to a gym.
Little crotchety,
a little crotchety, just kind of, I'm a man's man. I'll just do this. Like the idea of putting some athletic shorts on and getting on a treadmill is not his idea of.
I could see that.
He's one of those types of guys. Yeah. But
so now you watch what you eat. You're careful and you feel better about it, right?
I have to squeeze into spandex every weekend, so I have to always.
I need a picture of that.
Well, I don't.
We're on Facebook. Yeah, you do, especially some of my older ones. I've put more layers on as I've gotten older.
Thicker spandex.
Yeah, but like it is what you put into it is. You feel a lot different now.
It is. And we, when we get the chance at the farmer's market to talk to our customers, our existing customers or new people, we always see new people. One of our things that we love to tell people is that there isn't any sugar added to our sauce. Yeah. And that's one of the things that since we've started this and since we've really watched what we've been purchasing over all the years, all the sugar and junk that is in so many products that you wouldn't think.
It's very important. Like my boss's ex-wife, she used to make her own sauce as well, and she didn't add any sugar. Tastes like garbage. So, like this, for you to say that has no sugar in it, very impressed because I'm back on board now with this train.
Here's why.
Okay.
The no sugar, we've replaced sugar with carrots. So we really finely grate up carrots, and a really good bit of them, more so than garlic by twice as much of the garlic, it's carrots. And it really melts away. We saute it with the onions and the garlic. It melts away, but it becomes that natural sugar. Mm-hmm. So no added sugar, but you kind of get a little hidden veggie in there. And that's what cuts that acidity.
Yeah. And you get some of the sweetness from just the actual fresh tomatoes that we use, as well as fresh basil.
And the basil.
Basil's got some sweetness to it, too.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about the farmer's market and stuff like that, and that's where you first started selling your sauce?
It is. We were outside at Atherton Mills. We had to set up a tent because they didn't have room for us.
Well, tell me about the first day of you like, okay, we're going to go to a farmer's market. We're going to sell this sauce. We believe it. Take me through that. Was there some bullying from other people? Like, oh, the new kids on the block.
We never even went inside. We had the wrong label. The first labels that we ordered for the Arrabbiata ended in A. We didn't proof well enough, and it said Arrabbiati, ended with an I. We ordered them, and we got them, and it was brought to our attention.
It took an Italian that came up to us and said,
No.
No.
Somebody told us about it, and then we started looking it up and realized that Arrabbiati meant angry dogs.
It meant a pack of rabid dogs in Italian.
And so we weren't going to throw them away because labels are expensive, so we put them on, and then an Italian walked up and said,
yes, that's right.
You know what this says, right?
We've got a rabid Italian dog sauce here.
And it's delicious.
If you want to rebrand, that would be a way to rebrand. You know what I'm saying? Just call it one of those fancy names.
I still have the rule at home. So.
Yeah. But we didn't really go inside. We didn't meet the farmers. One guy came out to talk to us, but
were you the only people outside, or were you not even?
We were the only people outside that first day.
Well, we were just in a tent right outside the door, but it was just it was the first time we had done it, and being in the industry that the two of us have been in, we would, of course, cross paths with, a number of people that would come up that we would know. Oh, my gosh, you guys are doing your own sauce. We heard about it, and they'd buy it. And,
we sold out the first day, but I got to say that part of that was his mom and
family,
our friends and neighbors. But it was nice. We sold out the first day.
But they keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And so does everybody. Once they have it, they can't go back. It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was like kind of like the turning point? Are you guys now allowed in the building, or are you still in the tent?
I have my own booth.
She's got her own booth.
Okay, well, tell me how that happened. Is there a pecking order to getting into that?
A big pecking order.
Well, tell me about it.
Within the first 2 weeks, really of starting, so it was September 1st, or the first weekend in September was the first time, not this past year, but the year before. Within 2 weeks, Andy said, I want to go to Charlotte Regional Farmers Market, and you'd be at Atherton by yourself. And so we split up. Mm-hmm. And that worked well, and I still loved being outside. I set up my little tent, and then the person who ran the farmers market would come out as the weeks went on and would say, we have an empty spot if you want to come inside. And so then I would do that, and I would just take different spots. And the pecking order is understandable. These people have to be there every Saturday. Mm-hmm. They some of them, depending on what they do, are required to be there or have a presence there during the week too. I was just a girl showing up on Saturdays at my own time, and just leaving. It was some sauce and then leaving. And then they did some big restructuring at Atherton, and we're kind of trying to not get rid of me. They were going to try to make it like a market where you walked down aisles rather mm-hmm. than the way it is set up now. And that didn't end up working. So for about 3 months, I wasn't at the market, but I was represented there. There's a little pantry there called Queen City Pantry, and she carried it for us. And then after a few months, they said, we really want you back. We've got a spot for you. And now I have my own booth, and I'm with all the farmers and the meat, the people who sell the meat and the fish, and we're all buddies, and we have a great time. And Andy has come and worked my Atherton market when I was out of town for different things, and he saw how fun it was. So it's really like everybody's having fun and laughing and trying to sell. I mean,
you're at the cool kids table now.
We're the cool kids table. That is exactly right.
Yeah, the market that I'm at though is just high volume.
Yeah,
it's just
busy.
A herd of people that just keep coming through. But hers is more customers that come around. They take the time. They want to know about it, hear about it, taste it.
But you've got your buddies over at yours too.
I've got my neighbors, my buddies over at the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market. I've got a honey guy. I've got Dennis from
Pasta guy, Rio
Bertolini's pasta out of Charleston, and putting the two of us side by side with his fresh pasta and our sauce, just we feed off each other. It's great.
It's the one-stop shop.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Sure.
And then there's
that's a great market. It's an amazing market.
But it's fun, but there's just high volume. So it's not quite as cute as yours.
Yeah, mine's really fun. And I've heard a rumor that they're going to put a bar in at the end, so that might get ugly for everybody.
I think we're going to go ahead and switch venues now.
He's out there sweating, making contacts,
we're all
hustling.
Cocktails.
Mm-hmm. Just hanging out, having a good time.
Well, I mean, it's work.
It's what we're doing now. This is how we do it.
Okay, well.
And we're having fun doing it, too.
Yep.
We're having a blast. I mean, we get here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we spend 2.5 hours each morning during the week. One day we'll prep, and the next day we cook. And there's 16 gallons. We do 2 8-gallon pots. Mm-hmm. And we are side by side, cracking up. We're laughing, having a blast. So Monday we prep, and Tuesday we cook. Wednesday we prep, Thursday we cook.
Well, it's usually like 5 a.m. You're probably delirious, sleep deprived,
Fine.
No,
it's all good.
Quite the opposite.
It gets tiring. When we do those full weeks where we do it 6 days a week, and the 7th day of the week is the farmer's market, which actually feels like a day off because I don't have to get up until 6:30.
So it's basically like all week long you're hustling, you're making the sauce so you can have it for this farmer's market.
We're also in a little over 100 stores.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Andy is a really good salesman, and he has gotten us into just over 100 stores. So
in just over a year.
Yeah, a year and a half. It's been a year and a half, and so it's filling all those orders and being at the farmers markets.
Industry.
And we donate a lot of stuff too. We just donated 3 cases of sauce for the Taste of the NFL that all goes to Second Harvest Food Bank. And we have another donation that we're about to make tomorrow for the Parkinson's Association. So in between everything, we're always donating a ton of sauce too. So it's just constant.
And the chili cook-off is going to be coming up in the
Then
fall.
we have a chili cook-off that we run.
That we
Have
created.
you ever been to the Dilworth South End chili cook-off?
I've heard of it.
Has nothing to do with our sauce.
Okay.
But he and I and the owner of
And
Bonterra founded it, and this will be our 7th year this year, all for charity. Last year we raised
Over 30.
21. I think it was $21,000.
First year we did it, we raised $3,000. Last year when we did it, it was almost $23,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
was
Well,
all
that seems
charity.
a little bit better. A little bit more
Well,
worth your
6
time.
years, not too bad.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's all, I mean, it's such a good time, but
So that's our other.
that's what else we
project.
do.
Okay.
Once
But
a year.
let's take it just a
Okay.
half step back.
Yes.
We talk about getting the sauce on the shelves of
Yeah.
supermarkets and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you've jumped through the hoops through the FDA and everything else. How do you? Obviously, when you guys were thinking like, "Hey, let's just make the sauce and can it, and we can sell it at farmers markets," but obviously, there's in the back of mind, will this end up on a grocery store? How do you make that leap? That seems like that's a big leap
It's a leap.
to make.
Starts with small stores. His first store that he got into was Pasta and Provisions.
Yep.
Okay.
And you just walked in with your tasting bag and said, "Hi, I'm Andy."
You know what? And I'll tell you, being in the restaurant industry and the bar industry, and being a bar manager, when you would have salespeople come in and they want you to try this new beer, and they'd say, "Hey, do you got a second? I want you to taste this, and then let me tell you where it's from, and can you taste the hops in it and the region it's from?" It's like wine people would do, when they would
We
come
did
in
it
and
here
try
all the time, sure.
Exactly. And so, therefore, after years of having those people come in there, and then the personnel you have alone being behind the bar, dealing with every type of customer, when you just acquired that. So now it's like the tables return.
So now
I'm the
you've
one
taken everything that's been thrown at you
Yeah.
as working in a
over
bar.
in almost 20 years.
You remember the guy that gave you the good pitch and why it was a good
Absolutely.
pitch, and now you can give the good pitch.
And the thing of it is the fact that this is ours. This is
Yeah, you're
Melanie
not selling
and I.
somebody else's product.
Exactly.
You're selling your own. That's
I'm
true.
not the passion that I have trying to get this on your shelves. You see that because because it's ours. It's Melanie and I. And the drive that we have, and for me to get it on your shelves, it's just people see it, then they taste it, and then they realize it.
Yeah.
And then
And
then
it started off with all
sells.
small, locally owned
privately
markets,
individual.
specialty markets that like to carry local stuff.
Mhm.
And then as it went on, it was like, well, maybe we'll try a Whole Foods.
I need a big guy, just one big guy,
That's right. I forgot about that.
the big guy.
I just want one big account. Now we're in 12 Whole Foods.
13, 14.
14. It'll be 14
15,
after in a couple
14.
weeks. And gosh goodness, and a Harris Teeter is coming up.
Yeah.
Harris
Well,
Teeter.
actually, we got picked up by Whole Foods the end of October of last year. As of last weekend, we will be in 14 of them. We
Lowe's.
got picked up by Lowe's Foods, which is across Carolina, which is originally out of, I believe, Greensboro. Their headquarters is, and they are pretty much North and South Carolina, because our biggest thing is to stay local, keep it local. You know? And so,
And I'm sure for production costs and shipping costs, it probably makes it a
well,
little
it's
bit
not only
easier.
that, but I mean, it's the support. You know, our tomatoes come locally sourced when they're in season. A lot of our ingredients come locally sourced.
But I
so
still
that's our
think
biggest thing.
those are things that can be appreciated when we, because the goal eventually will be to go across the whole coast and then
Yes.
go west. That at least it's being made and sourced in the local area. I
Yeah.
have to get a glass of water.
That's okay.
That's okay.
So anyways, and then so we went from Whole Foods and then got picked up by Lowe's Foods and then moved on and
Well, let's take it. How do you get up with like a Lowe's Food? They're obviously a chain that stretches across two states. Like, is there a particular store? Or
Whole Foods?
Yeah, like where do you? Yeah.
Whole Foods is based out of Texas.
Okay.
Austin, Texas, and they've got stores nationwide.
Yeah. So where? How do you make that contact? Do you have to go to
so
Texas?
it
or?
was no, I didn't. It was walking in the store literally cornering the grocery manager, and just saying, "Hey, listen,
Luckily, you're a
I'm
big guy,
starting
so
off."
that's easy to do. That's easy to do.
See, I'm not that big of a guy. But to simply sit there and just say, "Just give me 5 minutes. That's all I want." And so they, once they have it, they enjoyed it, and then all of a sudden they will say, these are the steps you need to take. Here's who you need to contact. Here's where you need to send your samples to, all your product information. They'll get back to you about it, blah, blah, blah.
And kindly let me down, sir.
And actually, once it comes, recommended from the store managers themselves, then all of a sudden, regional managers and directors will take interest in it and follow through. Then it's a matter of filling out the paperwork and vendor applications and stuff like that, waiting for responses, and then, and it took about 4 months or so. But
For Whole Foods?
but it's a matter of, keep knocking on that door. Don't give up. Keep trying.
You're blocking me.
Have I been blocking her this whole time?
No, you've been fine.
I've been totally blocking her this whole time.
I think you're sad over there. I think I can still see it. There we go.
It's all good.
There we
Good.
go.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. At least be able to hear your
blocked
beautiful
out pretty
voice. That's what matters. You know what I'm saying?
My coughing, my hat.
So, anyways, about Cannizzaro sauces.
Exactly. Well, no, you got to pick up the jar. And
My
put
name's Cannizzaro.
Yeah, put it
It's-
over my face.
Yeah. Put the jar over
Here's
her face,
yours.
so that way you can see. But no,
I feel so bad now. I didn't see that on the screen.
I was only the couple of times you
you're
leaned
fine.
in. So we were having a conversation. You were fine. So, but
So that's what it took to get it.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to keep knocking on the door. Got to stay at it. Anybody, I recommend anybody that's got a product out there that, thinks it's, worth taking it to the next level. I totally recommend do it the right way. Take your time. Call the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and, do it right. Don't rush into it.
yeah, absolutely. Now, were there any times where you guys felt like this is the dumbest idea we've ever done?
Every
And
day.
we should- oh,
No, that's not true. I'd
I
say
was about to say,
never that it's
pretty
been
sure
dumb.
she says every day we love our business.
I love our business. Never dumb, but I see this in little, Facebook memes from time to time, and I think it's just perfect. The life of having your own business like this is like, oh my gosh, we're doing so great. This is wonderful. The next day it's like, we're gonna fail. We can't do this. It's just constant. We'll go through a couple of days and we won't have anybody call us for orders, and I'll be like, you got to get out there. You got to get selling sauce. And 2 days later, he sold every bit of sauce that's in the, oh, I'm glad you called me. We really needed an order. And it goes on. And then we're like, oh my God, we got to get cooking. And so it's just constant back and forth. And, oh, we need jars. They're out of jars. What are we going to do? We need tomatoes. So it's always crazy and scary. And
Like any business,
Awesome.
man, it takes 2 to 3 years to get it.
it's
I,
still awesome.
I totally agree.
Everybody agrees.
For sure,
And
for sure.
But, we're going through these hurdles up and down, with different aspects of, everything it takes to run our business. But
Especially doing it out of our home. And we've committed that.
we're not
fine
cooking out
with-
of our home.
No,
We
no,
cook
no. But having the office is at home, and our
Well,
dining
yeah.
room isn't a dining room anymore.
What my boss ran his merchandise store out of his home for a short period of time, and he had wrestling masks basically in kitchen cupboards. What does your house look like? Is it full of canning jars? Are
Just
you
the
getting
dining room? The dining room is. There's 2 walls of
And
sauce in
one
the
of our
dining
spare
room.
bedrooms. We have two
in the
spare bedrooms, and
the
one
warehouse.
we removed the bed out, made it. It's not a bedroom anymore, and it is we call
It's
it
the
the warehouse
warehouse.
or shipping. It's also shipping.
There's a couple employees in there that,
know what it's
we've got,
That was it. I'm good.
we fired.
Oh yeah.
The invisible
He-
employees
he-
that when the warehouse gets just disgusting and disarray, we just, I was like, I gotta fire that guy.
Pedro, whatever you named him that day.
We gotta fire that guy.
But so that's how the house is. We know that we'll have the family over for Mother's Day, and we put tablecloths over sauce. And we have a freezer that sits in our dining room, like a stand-up freezer for some of our stuff. And It's okay.
We just,
I don't care.
we're operating, you know. I mean, given for what we are and the size that we are very functional in this business, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're making it easy. We're making it easy for ourselves. You know, I mean, it's simple.
Absolutely. Like,
There's nothing simple about this. He's insane. What is simple? I don't find it simple.
well, why don't you
But
find it
it's
simple?
totally because our house is taken over and we are always running and trying to figure out what to do. And we come into this building at 5:45 every morning, and I don't leave here until 5:30 at night. It's not simple, but it's awesome. And when I get home, we
Awesome is
have
what I
to
meant to say. Not
we have to
simple.
get
Awesome.
orders
Yeah.
together and
Sorry,
There's
yes,
that,
it-
but there's
a
probably that
there's a lot
frenetic
involved.
energy
Yes, you're right.
that's created that probably
Totally.
creates.
there's nothing simple about
Yes.
what we're
No.
doing.
Sorry,
No.
simple was a bad word that I
You're
used.
insane.
Not insane. I just simple was a bad word.
Enjoyable,
It's
you know.
It is
Yes.
a lot of fun. Andy's never been a sit still kind of guy anyway. So before we had this business and we had just normal jobs, those days that we didn't have anything to do, we didn't have to work, it was kind of like, what do we do? Let's go start a garden, or let's go, so this keeps him going.
Which
keeps both
would
of
have
us
led you
going
to
all the
sauces
time.
anyway.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it would have led you there anyways.
Exactly.
So
So we're going to try to actually grow some of our tomatoes this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he extended the garden by half, so he doubled the size of the garden, and we planted 24 big tomato plants. So we're going to at least try to contribute to our sauce this year.
well, it sounds very similar to the predicament I am with this show and stuff like that, and building it. I feel like a lot of times, I don't have any guests booked, and then all of a sudden, like this week, the last 3 weeks, I've had 2 every week.
Wow, see?
On top of, like, there are some weeks, every other week I release 4 programs. Not just this, I have 4 other podcasts that I release that are different themes and shows like that. So I have to record those, edit those, and get those out. So there are times I very much understand that what you guys feel is like, there are times like, I'm doing so awful. I don't have anybody booked.
Yeah.
Like literally a month
Nobody
ago.
likes our sauce.
Nobody
Nobody likes it.
Yeah, a month ago I was like, I can't get anybody to sit down and talk to me for roughly an hour, and now all of a sudden I'm like, I wish people would stop wanting to talk to me.
That is great.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like when you say you're so frantic, and sometimes you run on a schedule where, like, if you have one little hiccup,
Yeah.
your whole schedule is completely
yeah.
changed.
Totally.
But then you always think about, like, do you ever take the time, because I do this myself now, is take the time to appreciate this moment right now? Because if it ever grows to a much larger size, it might not be as fun. Or do you guys ever take the time to think about, like, this could grow into be a bigger business, and let's enjoy this moment right now while we're doing it out of our house?
I think honestly that whenever we do get bigger, which I really think we will, I think that's the plan and that's the hope, is that our next step would be like have our own cooking facility, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd have an office there. We wouldn't have it at home. We would have a place that we're going to. I think it will only get easier, where we can have things delivered right to the place that we cook.
You can have a loading dock.
And have a loading dock, and aren't carting things from the store to the house, back into the truck, to Bonterra, back home. So I think this is going to be the hardest part of our sauce career, is what we're doing now. Eventually, it will lead to having employees.
And
As much as
responsible
I
for
never
people's
want to have
payroll.
employees.
Yeah.
Yes, responsible for payroll.
Don't say it like
absolutely.
owning a restaurant. Please don't say that.
But I know that we have to warrant that. Our sales have to warrant that before we can do anything like this, have our own facility. So right now we have to do the hardest part, which is back and forth, sweating, making it happen. So I think it'll only get easier. But we do appreciate it, and we do find time to, last week, no, I never got to see the couch, not once. Didn't get to sit down and watch my TV. But
You're like, I didn't get to see Scandal.
I didn't get to see my
Yeah.
Scandal. It is waiting for me. It is on the DVR waiting for me. But we, last night we did sit down for a couple hours. So there's always time. We always make sure we cook dinner.
Yep.
Try not to eat out all the time, because we could really eat a bunch of crap if we wanted to. Or it would be easier to just eat a bunch of fast food and be done with it. But so I feel like we really do try to make sure that we enjoy it. Even on Sundays when we cook, we've shortened that time down. And every now and then we find that we are able to go to a brewery or something and just sit and have a couple beers with friends. So it's gotten easier.
Well, how have you guys found the balance between you two? Like, have you like, because like
Yeah.
you're working with somebody.
Yeah.
Like the way you're describing this business is very similar to my boss when he used to work with his now ex-wife. It got very strenuous at a time. And I think he would even admit that he didn't find a good balance for the business and then his wife and now they piece it together. But you guys seem to be having it all kind of got a good plan for you. Got a good foothold.
Yeah. Well, you want to?
Okay.
Please.
So
Hell no.
when we first started spending that much time together.
Yeah, because that was always the thing with those two is they spent so much time together. And her thing was not necessarily professional wrestling. But luckily, both of you seem like you have a love for food and love for what you're doing.
Yeah.
She just got drug into it because she didn't want to work at Enterprise, rent a car anymore.
So then that
Our
was
thing
the
is we
choice
went
she
into
made.
this. We went into this together.
Well, and Andy, our hours were so opposite that we really didn't spend very much time together at all. So the days that
So this
he
got
had
you
off,
together more or
this got
less.
us together,
yeah.
And it really was like we'd only have maybe 3 nights a week, 2 nights a week sometimes together. Then. So at first, when we were cooking together all day long, because when we first started, we could only cook on Sundays, and it was a 14 hours of cooking and jarring and everything. There'd be a couple little just snickets, like just irritations. I think when you're with somebody for 14 hours and you're exhausted, you kind of get irritated. But that didn't last long, and we really got happy seeing each other more often and had fun doing it. And I don't think we almost never get irritated with each other now when we're together all the time. It's really kind of like business, but we still have fun and we laugh while we're doing it. We'll be jarring gallons and gallons of sauce, and both of us are like, hang on a second. And we're just laughing. We're like, okay, all right, we can start this again.
Don't
So
pour the
it's
next
been
jar.
good.
I'm too busy laughing.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, that's awesome.
I know.
That's really nice and refreshing to see, and that's for sure.
I know that these things can destroy relationships.
Oh,
just
they
like
definitely can.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a situation. She did not care for the business
Right.
as much as he did. And I definitely don't see that with you guys.
We both want it to work so much,
Yeah.
and it is working. So
Well, we're having fun and we continue to grow. Both with everything that she does, on her end, and then me running around there, trying to pick up stores and making deliveries and doing the sales thing, and we both got our farmers markets. I mean, it's.
I think the only thing that we
our
don't agree
passion.
on
It's
is
what we-
our sales, the way we sell to people. So that's why we're at separate markets. It's also why we're at separate markets.
It's totally why we're at separate.
Yeah, we can't sell together.
Well, evidently I'm too salesy.
He's too salesy.
I'm very salesy myself, so I appreciate that approach, but I'm sure that your approach works just as well as well.
We wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for him being salesy. I just don't like to.
Did you hear that? Say that again.
I say it all the time.
It's on record. It'll be on
Can you
multiple
hit
formats.
Rewind. Can we play it loud?
We can play it. You can download
But I
it.
don't
You can
like
do a
to-
mix. If you want me to do a mix of that, I'll just replay it over. I'll do an hour of it.
Everywhere
That
we're
would
in.
be awesome. But I don't like to hear it. It bugs me. It's on my nerves. So
Well, it's out in the
better if
world
we
right
don't.
now, so.
I know. No, I mean I don't like to hear his salesiness.
Oh, you don't like your sales.
That just
But
irritates me.
that's what I've acquired over the years from everybody that's come in and has sold me on it.
Because like a spell
Whether
you
it's a
cast.
beer, whether
sometimes,
it's a-
sometimes like a spell you can cast on somebody because you see their face get.
Hey, if
Yeah,
if
you're
they
right. You
see
see
it.
how much you believe in it, then they understand. I gotta taste this sauce, and then they taste it, and then they're just done.
Exactly, because you almost see like their face glaze over a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you're right. This is a good idea. I should buy. And,
This is the sauce I'm looking for.
and then
It's
they've already-
mine.
they've
It's
already
my
got
trickery.
and then they've already got the wallet out, and then they wake up like, oh well, I've already got the
Do
wallet
you
out.
take a card?
Yeah, and-
Yes, I do.
Exactly. I have one of those squares. Let's.
I love my square.
Oh, I don't have enough cash. Do you take? Yes, I take debit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That square is helps so many small businesses
Square
in
is
this world.
wonderful.
You can't show up at the farmer's market unless you have a square. You
Absolutely.
can't be a vendor out there unless you have one.
Absolutely.
Was that right?
Well, I mean, not necessarily, but I mean,
It's not a
well,
requirement,
but-
but probably
But
Yeah.
it helps.
It does
for
help.
sure, for sure, definitely, even in my business as well. But you talked about having a place that's your own, that's where you do the cooking, everything, in own office and all that stuff. What is there anything else as far as growth? What do you think is the next step? Is that place? or like,
Yeah.
where do you think the business gets when you are taking that big step?
We have to find that fine line or that broad line. I don't know what that line will be, but we have to find that line of what we're producing is making us enough money, producing and selling, I should say, fast enough to get to that point where we can say we could afford to pay for our own facility, to pay that rent and all those utilities and everything like that. And then we would have more flexibility because Bonterra is open for dinner. We try to be out of the kitchen by 9 a.m. just in case the chefs have to come in for anything. We really want to respect their time in their kitchen. So even if we had our own cooking facility and it was still just the two of us and we weren't paying any employees, we would still have more time to cook. And therefore we could cook more. We need all that to balance out the cooking, the sales, everything. So we haven't reached it yet, and we really like not paying anything. So we're really happy doing that. And in all honesty, there's never been a time that we're like, wow, we have so much money. Let's go pay somebody rent. Hasn't come to that yet. So I don't know when it's going to happen, but
it's down the road.
Yeah, year.
But you know what though? But we got to take care of ourselves first.
Absolutely.
You know, the company's got to support itself, and as we continue to grow, like I said, we've got year and a half. We're in 100 stores, but it's getting to the point now to where stores are starting to reorder without us having to follow up on them. Hey, how you guys doing? We're just getting. We got one today, and hey, I need three cases of this.
Sauce, yeah.
And so therefore, we're becoming a staple of Charlotte. Charlotte.
I want to be a staple of everywhere.
Charlotte is just realizing that, hey, that marinara sauce is made right here in Charlotte. It's Cannizzaro, and they have it, and they support local. And so it's catching on and just continuing to grow.
So just further, more states. I want to get to Atlanta by the end of the year. I think that might throw us a good bit further. I think they have a lot of local little markets like this, and I think we're still kind of considered local in Georgia.
Yeah.
As the demand grows, that's when we start getting closer and closer to winding up in our own cooking facility.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying.
Absolutely. But if you stayed at this level forever or till it ended, would you be happy?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
We'd be happy. We're always going to be happy.
I'm always happy.
Well, I mean,
no, I want to
Be
be
happier.
I would
Yeah.
like this.
obviously.
I would like this to be like, oh my gosh, we made this a huge business. We
Yeah.
are the ragu of the 21st century kind of thing. I would like that this becomes a big deal. I'm not saying I'm jumping at it right now, and I'm happy doing it, and I want to cook forever, and I never want to not. I also say I don't want to ever not cook a batch of sauce, so that can't. Those don't jive
And
together.
that's the thing. And it's not that we're trying to become so big,
Not fast.
that would replace anything
That you're doing right now.
But what I like to express to a lot of people is that we're trying to get people to stop eating crap too. With all the sugar that's out there, everything that's processed and stuff like that, and that's a big message that we're trying to get across as well.
Yeah.
And you can taste it.
Absolutely. I definitely just moving from here to from the Midwest to Charlotte, like I could just tell a difference between like the meats, the produce.
That's interesting about the meats that you can't find a good meat.
Immediately, and it depends where I would get it, because I was always buying just whatever the cheapest was, and I would buy.
I was doing the same thing.
Buying meat from Walmart, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just thought steak was steak because the grocery store,
crazy.
It's not the same. Even beer, I could tell a difference as soon as I moved here from the Miller Lite here than in the East Coast. I mean, from the Midwest. Because I grew up in Iowa, we were so close to Milwaukee, because now it has to travel in a truck even farther, so I could taste it immediately. I was like, why doesn't Miller Lite taste the same anymore?
Crazy. Have you started enjoying the local beers,
yes,
breweries?
I've started going to them. I've also interviewed a couple of them and stuff like that.
I saw that.
Yes, I've picked out a couple here and there and stuff like that. But yes, the local I do particularly like. But I have been
watching my figure a little more. I have been peeling back on the amount of alcohol. I used to drink a lot of alcohol.
I couldn't even get you to have anything with
Yeah,
it.
see, like I said, I try. I get very weirded out and stuff like that. But about alcohol now because I used to drink so much of it.
I understand.
So I don't say I'm sober, but I'm sober-ish.
Okay.
But I
Maybe
will,
you enjoy every now and then a glass.
I will probably have one tonight because my girlfriend and I, we have date night every Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
That's the one requirement that we
How
must
am I
have.
digging into your date night?
No. It's not till like 9:10. She works at Mellow Mushroom until like 9-10 o'clock. So that's like the only time we see each other because I'm busy doing this, open mics, my regular job, and then she's working late. So like we literally don't see each other. Like we only see each other. Like I see her when I get up in the morning. She's asleep. And then I'm usually asleep by the time she comes home because she closes. So we never really see each other awake until Wednesday night. And then I'm usually traveling on the weekends.
Does she ever travel with you?
Not so much anymore. She's also used to be a female professional wrestler. She's quietly retired and running her own female wrestling promotion. So
Neat.
yeah. So wrestling we have in common. So I'm very envious of you two spending a lot of time working on something that you like. Like I help her with her all-female wrestling promotion. I do particularly like it, but
You don't you do or don't?
we do particularly like it, but there are certain aspects of it that I work very hard and I'm very focused, where she's very much like, oh, everything will work out.
Oh, we have that happen too.
Oh, you have that too? So I'm guessing you're the one that like everything's going to work out, or okay, yes.
Yes.
It seems like the woman always takes the role of everything's always going to work out.
And then on the other hand, it flip-flops sometimes too. I'm very particular about things, and he's like, why are you being so crazy about it? So it flip-flops for everything.
It's a weird dynamic when you work with somebody that you work with that you live so closely with.
Yeah.
It tends to be that way.
Yeah.
You know.
But you also know, like what I was saying earlier, what it was like to not see that person at all.
Absolutely. Like I'm very jealous of the fact that you guys work with each other. I wish she could. I would spend more time. Like I wish her all female wrestling promotion is all we did. And like she comes up with these funny little skits and things she wants to film to help promote shows and all these things. And I'm listening to her talk, and I'm like, I can help you film with that, but I don't know how much time I'm going to have to spend with you to film this and work on this because I've got other stuff. But
could it ever happen that you two could have one thing that you could do together as a business, like what we're doing, but with the female wrestling or all wrestling?
Yeah, or something like that. Like she's a very funny girl, and sometimes I just listen to her talk and I write stand-up material just on conversations because she sees the world in a very unique way, and I keep trying to get her to just even like do improv because I do improv as well, and I was like, well, at least this would be another 2 hours we get to see each other a week.
Yeah,
but she doesn't want to interfere in anything that I do. She wants it so separate, so but like I said, you guys seem to make it work together, and
it works.
It's very nice that you get to see each other like that, and it's something that you guys are at least passionate about.
Totally.
So but before we get out of here, because we're getting close to the end, but you guys have been fantastic and wonderful, but I'm not going to let you off the hook.
Okay.
I'm going to let you off the hook with the most important part of the podcast is that part of the reason I started this is because I want to sit down and talk with people of varying degrees of success. I've talked with Hall of Fame wrestlers, Olympians, the mayor. I've talked with people that are just...
We're not anywhere near there.
But I've talked to comedians. I've talked to people that are just photographers, people that just do things locally, varying degrees of success. And I want to talk to people about success. What does it mean to you? How do you define it? Do you feel like something you can achieve? Do you have a very clear vision of what it is? Will you be happy if you achieve it? Are you defined by your success? Like when I say the word success, what does that mean to you?
You can go.
You want me to go first? With this business, I would have to say success would be for us to have established our product up and down the entire East Coast and built this business into where pretty much the two of us are not making sauce anymore.
No, I never want to not make sauce.
Okay. In a factory, in a processing, or not a processing, in our own cooking facility.
Mm-hmm. Employees making it for you.
Exactly. You know what? Because I'm sorry, but when everybody sits there and they come up, what are you doing now? Well, I own, our own company. We make marinara sauce. Oh, you're living the dream. I said, no, I'm not living the dream because I'm still making it.
I love making it.
We
have very different ideas.
I love making it too, okay? But the dream is that, we're making it for thousands and thousands and thousands of people up and down the entire East Coast.
My turn.
Okay? You want that beach on the house? It's not going to be on.
I want a house on the beach.
You want that house on the beach?
I want to keep making it. I want to always be in the kitchen making it.
Will.
I don't want to pass it off to other people. We'll need help, but I don't want to pass it off.
Yeah, well, you can make one batch, but 7 other people could be
Yeah.
making it. Like
That's what I mean.
I want to always be making it.
you can be one of 8 people making it at a time.
I do want my house on the beach. And
Without wheels under it.
there will never be wheels. And I know we're talking about success, not what do I want, but I don't know. I think success would be that we could live happily, not overly comfortably, but just live on our business. I don't want to be crazy. I'm not looking for planes or 2 houses. I just want to make this an actual business that we can be happy on. That's it.
I just say, so, being able to provide a fantastic product to.
Oh, you're going to go there.
Well, I'm just saying, share this with everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stop eating crap.
Success. We're talking about success.
I know. But that's what it's going to take to get there.
That's what it's going to take for you to define it. You, more or less, is you get to continue to making sauce and doing what you love. And that's how you define it.
Yeah.
It's different to everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you guys to agree on it.
Yeah, good.
I wasn't looking for one concise answer. I was
Good.
looking for 2 unique things because everybody has your own unique way of defining it.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make is that it's different to everybody.
Yeah.
Some
Very.
people put a $sign on it. Some people say putting a $sign on it is the sign of failure. I don't think a $sign is ever a sign of failure. But
Exactly.
You're preaching to the choir here.
There's been a lot of failures from people that put $signs on it, especially with, all these people that, come up with their barbecue sauces and go to co-packers and throw it all out there. And
quality goes down.
Barbecue sauces are in the Carolinas now, I mean, we just had this discussion the other day. It's like, there's tons of barbecue sauces that are out there, and they're trying to get into every store that they can, and they're getting in there on not making much profit at all. It's just tough. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you guys personally deal with the failures and the bumps in the road? Also, too, that's one of the last questions I always ask too.
the bumps we just deal with. We just figure it out. We always find a way to figure out how to get past every bump. It's just always okay, what do? We figure this out. We got it. We haven't had any, I don't want to say this, we haven't had any failures yet.
No, we haven't. But funny story is just the fact that when we first got off the ground with this thing, and remember we were sitting on the deck that one night, and I said, you know what, we're going to come across some disagreements, or we're going to come across some, conflicts of whatever it might be. And I said, you know what, the 2 of us need to sit there and go, what are the pros?
The pro and con list. We love a pro and con list.
Pro and con list, that each of us would come up with. If she's got an idea and she thinks mine's stupid, or if I got an idea and I think hers is stupid, then we do our pro and con list. And we say, okay, well, my pro and con list, these are the pros that I think, these are the cons, and then her the same thing. And then we meet in the middle, see what outweighs each other, and then we move on. Okay? And that's the decision that we make together.
Sometimes we have to decide if I think we had a really big thing on font for our label, and we knew that we had to decide. Like, we weren't going to pick one and then change it. We had to come up with a font. And I didn't want it to be this one.
Mm-hmm.
And he really wanted it to be this one. And with all the discussion and the pros and cons list, even on a font, it was, this is not as important to me as it is to him. That's another one sometimes that we have to figure out. wasn't as important to me as it was to him.
I feel this
so
is
we're
getting
gonna stick
brought
with
back up for a second.
No. So I went with it. I love our label.
I feel like we're gonna fight about this again later.
No, I love our label.
Let me peel that off your face because
I
it just got thrown back into.
I think I just walked into something.
That just got thrown in your face. Let me clear that off for you.
Oh, thank God we drove separately.
I swear
Oh,
it's
gee.
not. I swear it's not. But we, sometimes it has to be like, this one, Andy, is this in particular thing is very important to me, and you got to go with me on this, or back, vice versa. So it's
I mean, choosing
choosing battles.
And it goes both ways. She'll talk about or express on one thing, like it was the new sauce coming out in the label. What do you guys express upon?
We're making a new sauce, a vodka sauce. So a vodka sauce, the only difference between these and the vodka sauces, we'll replace the white wine that's in these sauces with vodka, and there'll be additional cream. It's really going to be and the spice level is a lot different, but
it's going to have a little hint of a little heat, just
little bit though,
tiny little heat.
And so it's off at
On board.
It's amazing.
No need to sell anymore.
We
Awesome.
On board.
It's off at the state right now getting tested. So we're waiting for the process to come back, make sure it's something that we feel like we can do the way they tell us that they want us to process it. And if it is, then it's our next sauce. So we've been working on a label, and all of our labels are a little bit different. So the arrabbiata has the peppers, marinara, and then the mushroom just has a really pretty mushroom on it. So we were talking about what the label's going to look like, and Andy wanted a kind of a silhouette of a vodka bottle behind it. I didn't want that. I feel like it might scare people. Even though it says vodka sauce, I still think it might scare some moms away or something. I thought maybe because the other difference is the cream, if we have maybe a pitcher of cream or a carton of cream or something instead.
And she's 100% right, and it took that explaining and her perspective to say, you know what, though, it's our labels alone jump out at people because they don't look like everybody else's on the shelves, especially with our jars and our packaging. I mean, they're in mason jars, they're two-piece lids. Everything else is, all the jars look the same because they're coming from a co-packer. But to have that silhouette back there, it might give off the wrong impression of
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, granted, all the alcohol is cooked off, like she said, but then again, a first glance at a label like that is going to have, might give off a negative impression. And so, therefore, we talk and then share, opinions and whatnot. And then we realize that even with the regular marinara sauce, the different color of the sauce itself behind the label is going to be a cream-based. And so everybody's going to look down. All the labels might be the same, but the sauce color is going to be different. That's what's going to pull them in. And she's right.
Yeah.
And that's how we work out our
Compromise.
She doesn't hit me in the face anymore. It's great.
Now she's moved on to the arm, obviously.
That's for the record.
She just punched her right in the arm. She's no longer in the face. She's gonna work your way down slowly. Well, anyway, let's let everybody know where they can find your sauce, get up with you, get their hands on this sauce, and please, this is the time. You have a live microphone to spill it all out there.
So,
ladies,
you can meet both of us almost always at Atherton Mills Farmers Market for me, and Andy is always at Charlotte Regional Farmers Market.
And Thursdays
at the Peninsula Yacht Club Farmers Market. And then if you go to our website, CannizzaraFamilia.com, FAMIGLIA, there is a Find Us page, and it has a map of all the places you can find us. We are in North Carolina, South Carolina, one store in Virginia, and within the next couple of weeks, we'll be at the Whole Foods in Savannah, Georgia, too. So
in Hilton Head.
But a lot of the small local retailers, Savory Spice Shop, Queen City Pantry,
Pasta Provisions, Common Market, Healthy Home Market, Ferrucci's. Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of, although the fact that we've reached out in the past 6 months to, get that big guy account, the majority and where we started off at was all based upon locally owned, independently operated local market stores. And that's where we started, and that's, where we continue to, supply and push and, help out and just be thankful, because those are the ones that, along with the farmers market, has helped us get to where we are today.
Yeah.
Where can we find you performing comedy?
Oh, I've got a couple coming up with the Comedy Zone and stuff like that. So I will be,
I was just saying I wanted to go to the Comedy Zone.
I've got all kinds of stuff coming up. I'll keep you posted on all those
Awesome.
dates and let you know those off camera. So, because probably by the time I would announce them now, it would have already happened. So I won't get too much from it,
Gotcha.
So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
time
Thank
out
you.
of your day. You guys have been fantastic, and
Thank
the
you.
sauce has been fantastic. I've been eating and dipping it through most of
How'd
this
you like
interview.
it?
So, thank you
get
very
to take
much.
these home. Thank you.
Thank you.